is finding you well, or at the very least, hanging in there, since unless you've been living under a rock, it's been a little bit of a stressful year so far, right? Um, well, a consequence of everything that's going on can be starting to see some negative behaviors, thoughts, or habits really creep in and start to stay as we try our best to cope with everything. Um, and a lot of times we see these habits start to become a pattern. It's easy to fall into this trap of our negative coping mechanisms or just our heightened state of emotion starting to stick. And that alone can really take a toll on us. So today I want to talk about reining all that in a little bit. Okay, so we're going about our day and something happens to result in a negative emotion. So this might be fear, disgust, anger, sadness, shame. The first thing we want to do is check the facts. Does the situation warrant this reaction? Sometimes the answer is yes. Oh, a bear is chasing you and you're scared? Yes, that emotion is warranted. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the next phase of 2020 was mutant bears, but sometimes the facts don't fit the response like this. So, for example, the other day I posted something on social media that some might see as somewhat controversial. Knowing that I have some connections with different viewpoints or people of different viewpoints, I kind of was ready for a fight. I was scared, I was nervous, and I was ready for an argument. I posted in the morning and didn't check back until evening, and I spent all day angry about what I anticipated the comments on my post to be. Not about the original issue I'd posted about, but about the comments. So I was ready to go down this rabbit hole of social media war, responding to every dissenting comment, ready for a fight. But then when I actually checked back, there was only a single negative comment, which was phrased pretty mildly. There was some polite discourse responding to that comment, but nothing really worth being angry at my friends or followers over. So, straight up, my emotions didn't fit the facts, and just checking those facts helped me feel better and concentrate on the issue at hand instead of my overblown emotional reaction. Now, a few days later, I wasn't so lucky, but a lot of times we see that we need to check the facts first. All right, obviously, of course, it's not always this easy. Sometimes the emotions fit the facts, but we can lessen the emotion's strength through problem solving. In these cases, we can avoid, modify, or solve the problem. Honestly, right now, watching the news makes me feel so anxious. I want to stay informed though, so I don't want to shut it out completely. So, for the most part, not always, sometimes things creep up that I'm glued to it. But over the past 3, 4 months, I've tried to modify the situation by allowing myself only 15 minutes of a straight news podcast in the morning, and then about the same amount of time reading the news later in the day. And like I said, I don't stick to this perfectly, but in general, this modification really helps me to stay informed, but still go on with my day without becoming completely overwhelmed by current events. Um, all right. And then finally, there's some times when knowing the facts and problem solving aren't possible or don't help. Um, this essentially falls into four categories. The first is knowing the facts about the situation doesn't work or doesn't help. So, for example, someone might know that flying is statistically safe, but still panic every time they are in the air. Um, the second instance is when our emotions or the intensity or duration of those emotions are not justified by the situation. So, for example, I have an acquaintance who has been extremely vigilant regarding COVID-19. She practices social distance, wears a mask, washes her hands, even sanitizes her groceries. Yet she continues to have overwhelming anxiety about it to a level that has had a negative impact on her health and on her relationship with her family and with her friends. So this level of anxiety is is too much. And knowing the facts of how to protect yourself isn't enough. Um, so the third category is when an emotion is justified, but it is not effective for meeting your goals in that situation. So, for example, if a skunk wanders across your path, you're probably going to freak out a little bit. But yelling and making a big ruckus will probably only scare the skunk, causing it to spray you, which is the exact opposite of your goal. This also can be where our bad habits come into play. So, for example, I might feel overwhelmed or down on myself and really want to eat a jar of peanut butter by the spoonful. But doing this will not take away the thing I'm actually overwhelmed by. It certainly won't make me feel any better about myself. And plus, then I'll have a stomach ache for like a week and my health goals will suffer. So, the final category here is when whatever you are doing, you are avoiding what needs to be done. Okay, so confession. Sometimes I stay up way too late because I don't want to get up in the morning. Like, what? Obviously, that's counterproductive. And I just wind up kicking myself as I zombie crawl out of bed in the morning. But I don't think I'm the only one who does this, that does something completely counterproductive. Um, as I try to avoid a different problem. So, in these instances, when fact checking and problem solving aren't enough, we can use a DBT skill called opposite action. And this is basically exactly what it sounds like. When our emotions or action urges are sabotaging or non productive, we practice doing the opposite. So, feeling depressed and want to stay in bed for the third day in a row, force yourself to at least get up and take a shower. Maybe that will inspire you to get dressed or to make breakfast. Feeling really down on yourself and want to give in by stuffing yourself with liquor or junk food, just step away from the fridge, go for a walk. Feeling fed up and ready to fight, relax your hands, relax your face, use kind words, or just walk away from the situation. And you got to go all in on this. If you are trying to address social anxiety by going to a party, standing in the corner, avoiding conversation, or getting blackout drunk so you don't even know what you're doing, are only doing this halfway. You're not putting in the work of opposite action, so your brain isn't learning or changing. So go in all the way. Now, this is by no means I am by no means telling you to suppress your emotions. In fact, you should be recognizing, labeling, and honoring your feelings. But you can, however, honor your emotions and feel your feels without giving into destructive thoughts or behaviors. And if you continue to practice opposite action, the emotions and urges will subside over time to a place where they're a little bit more manageable for you. So, of course, all of this is way easier said than done. It takes practice and it takes reminders. So, I wrote a little song to help you remember this skill. I encourage you to add in your own verse with your personal emotions, your personal urges, and your own opposite actions. All right, here we go. Well, if you want to stay in bed, get up, get dressed, and go for a run. If the emotions don't fit the facts, do opposite acts. And if you're itching to start a fight, pack up your high. The emotions don't fit the facts, do opposite acts. If you just do what you want, you might get stuck in a rut. But if you find a new way, life could get better each day. Don't suppress how you feel. The new behavior help you heal. You see, it's not always easy. Oh, all you need to do. If you wanna get drunk, stay dry. Have an apple instead of the whole darn pie. If the emotions don't fit the facts, do opposite acts. And if you wanna have a smoke, chew gum. If you hate everyone, go out and have some fun. If the emotions don't fit the facts, do opposite acts. If the emotions don't fit the facts, do opposite acts. Do opposite acts. All right. So just drop me a comment with your own verse. I'd love to hear it. Thank you for listening. And remember, when the emotions don't fit the facts, do opposite acts. Thanks. Bye.